Hi everyone, welcome back. We're about to head into episode 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, I will leave Jeanet and my social medias, our Patreons, our YouTube channels in the description box below. I say we just get straight into it.
You are the Slayer. Lives depend upon you. Instead of which you enslave yourself to this cult.
You don't like the color?
Cheerleaders are evil.
We've chosen to destroy vampires, not to wave pom-poms at people. And as the Watcher,
She could do both.
I don't think
And
you
you'll be stopping me
can.
how? I just want to have a life. I want to do something normal. Something safe.
Oh goodness, why do I get the feeling that that's not gonna be as safe as she thinks? But
Uh-oh.
even if it wasn't about to go spectacularly wrong, you can't help but feel like she shouldn't be... What the hell was that?
Look at these girls giving their all like this.
Oh,
Damn.
What's this? What's that? Wow, how sweet. Yours, always.
It came that way, really. They all said that.
Who does she think she is? A Laker girl? I heard she turned them down. Okay, listen up. Let's begin with Amber Grove.
why are you
You're not
talking
auditioning
to
the bottom
Willow,
floor.
Cordelia?
Amy!
Mom, 3 hours in the morning, 3 at night.
So much quality time with my mom would probably lead to some quality matricide.
Ah!
Fuck you.
Oh, but this is such a strange concept to me. We don't have cheerleading in South Africa.
Yeah, it's not a big thing here either.
That girl's on fire! Enough for the hyperbole.
No.
Yeah, she's literally on fire. Ow.
Someone's jealous. The question is
It's
who.
okay, you're gonna be okay. I've been slaying vampires for more than a year now, and I have seen some pretty cringeworthy things, but nobody's hands ever got toasted.
I don't know if that would qualify as cringeworthy.
There's a veritable cornucopia of fiends and devils and ghouls to engage.
I don't know if that's thrilling,
Are
but
you
okay.
too happy about that, Giles?
I need to get the skinny on Amber. Find out if she's had any colorful episodes before.
That means hacking illegally into the school's computer system. At last, something I can do.
Aren't we a team?
Yeah.
You're the Slayer, and we're like the Slayerettes.
Just don't.
Oh,
you
the
guys can-
Slayerettes.
I didn't actually get to try out. There was an accident. Pretty fierce competition, though.
Oh, I know you'll do fine.
Is this them moving, or is it a
horse?
exhibition artifact? What's going on here?
Got a lot of inventory to go through here.
There's your answer.
You know, it might not physically kill you to give me a hand here.
Will she be able to without it?
It was cheerleading.
Yeah, see? Just really quick.
I'm not in trouble.
No, not yet.
Ah.
Oh.
All the faith.
Thanks, Joyce.
Jeepers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know what that was.
Jump and shoot.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Uh-oh.
That wasn't me.
Catherine Madison. Get down with your bad self.
Her nickname was Catherine the Great. She took that team and made them tri-county champions. You know, no one's ever done that before. Or since.
It's kind of romantic.
Well, he was a big loser. Never made any money. Ran off with Miss Trailer Trash when I was 12.
Thanks.
It's less romantic.
Uh-huh.
And he left my mom with nothing. She put herself through cosmetology school. Bought me everything I ever wanted. And never once gained a single pound. And I can't get my body to move like hers. I choked in there so bad.
No, Amy, you did fine.
I'm gonna get you. If she gains an ounce, she padlocks the fridge and won't eat anything but broth.
So, Mommy Dearest is really Mommy Dearest.
There's
Ah.
Sounds awful.
I love that reference.
I have a dream. It's me on the cheerleading squad, adored by every varsity male as far as the eye can see. We have to achieve our dreams, Amy. Otherwise, we wither and die. If your supreme klutziness out there today takes me out of the running, you're gonna be so very beyond sorry.
I wonder if she's like... She's the one who caused the fire. She's kind of like... coming into
Who?
some kind of...
I told Buffy
Amy.
about Amber. Cool.
Ah, okay. I noticed that that was a
She-
really mean, like, cliche of Cordelia in that movie, like the real mean girl, you know, the high school bully.
So I'm just a figure. I should ask her out, right?
Won't know till you ask.
That's why you're so cool. You're like a guy. You're my guy friend that knows about girl stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
That's
Don't ever say that.
that.
Oh,
You're lucky.
I made it?
oh.
I made it.
Yeah, as if she would look for you guys.
Okay, not only did you make the team, but you, Miss Summers, are the first alternate, and Amy's number 3. And what a better way to celebrate than with a romantic drive-through.
Xander, alternates are the ones who didn't make the team. They only fill in if something happens to the ones who did.
For I am Xander, king of Cretans. May all lesser Cretans bow before me.
I love
He-
that.
And you know what I think we should do?
Oh,
about it?
he's my spirit
Let me hang out
animal.
at my house after school.
It's just how many more hours a day can I practice? You know, how much more can I do? This would never happen to my mother.
Give me the power.
Bubble, bubble, boiling trouble.
Give me the dark. I call on you.
Sorry.
Close. You were close.
Your blackness crawl beneath my skin. Accept thy sacrifice. Cordelia.
Uh-oh.
There I am. Mom, I've accepted that you've had sex. I am not ready to know that you had Farrah hair.
This is Gidget hair.
Farrah Fawcett.
I got to be on every page. Made me look much more popular than I was.
And have you seen the kids that do your book? Nerds pick on them.
Ah,
The best times I had in school were
Oh, this just in. I'm not you. I'm into my own thing.
your own thing. Whatever it is, got you kicked out of school, and we had to move here to find a decent school that would take you.
she's not wrong, but also that's
Great
not
parents
right.
reform.
The way she handled that.
A little shaky on the dismount.
Mm-hmm.
At least she's self-aware that that was a mistake. I'm glad that they showed that she can understand that she overstepped a mark with her daughter there.
No, I gotta be a man and ask her out. You know, I gotta stop giving her ID bracelets, settling new windows, taking Polaroids outside of her bedroom window late at night. That last part is a joke. Truly detention because here she comes. Buffy!
Wait, what are you noticing, Buffy?
Is that even Cordelia's locker?
Huh?
You flunked driver's ed twice already. Show me some moves or you'll be taking the bus to college.
Oh, we never had driver's ed. We just started
No,
doing
and
practical. 17 is when you get your provisional license here.
Check the mirror.
it's almost like she's lost motor function.
Turn right.
Not the car, her body.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Go, Buffy, go!
Oh,
Oh my god, I can't see anything. Oh god. What's happening? I can't see anything.
Oh, damn, that's intense. That was not on my bingo card.
Blinding your enemy to disorient and disable them is
you have a bingo card?
Now, witches.
I mean, there's certain expectations that you kind of develop as the episode goes on.
Maybe because they met her? Does it? Or likes it too much?
Mm-hmm.
Amy. Amy.
So
Mm-hmm.
you guys are leaning towards Amy.
She's desperate to get on that
Possibly.
TV. I've asked her if she'd do just about anything to make her mom's dream come true.
But this
Let me make sure I
this
have
feels
right.
too straightforward
This
then.
witch is casting horrible and disfiguring spells so that she can become a cheerleader.
I think you're underestimating the amount of pressure a parent can lay on you. They're not a
Hmm.
perfect copy, they
Very
tend to
true.
wig.
You were the first alternate. You are on the team now that Cordelia's out. You could be next. We gotta get you to a safe house.
Xander,
Theoretically, that's not wrong.
Witches, Historic Roots to Modern Practice. Checked out by Alexander Harris. The Pagan Rites, checked out by...
All right. It's not what you think.
You like to look at the semi-nude engravings?
Oh, well, I guess it is what you think.
Have you all quite...
Exactly, that's why he was trying to get them to go.
Isn't this exciting? Oh, yeah. Amy, help me. Which is the hydrochloric acid and which is the ammonium hydroxide? Oops.
That's right.
You're
taking your
so
hair.
smart, Buffy, but you're so not good at lying.
Action. The shot.
Oh my word.
And it's getting worse what's happening to people.
Yeah.
She's our Sabrina. I just don't think she realizes what
Oh,
she's doing.
Sabrina.
Talk to her?
Where are you? I should be on that team by now.
Oh.
But instead, Miss Buffy and friends are sneaking around stealing bits of my hair.
What if she took
Oh.
what if she took her daughter's form, but it's actually the mother? Sorry, my brain is going wild.
No, you're allowed to have theories. Have theories as it goes along. I've always said this. It's fun to have theories as it goes along. You are guessing. You're figuring this show out bit by bit, moment by moment. It's better to have theories than to just kind of have nothing, you know? Oops.
I like that we saw her power kind of affecting something that's
Yeah.
not supernatural.
Doobie, because I feel like cheering and leading others to cheer. Oh, hey, Juice.
Go Buffy.
You just don't get it. And believe me, you don't want it. You know, there are just some things about being a vampire slayer that the older generation... It's a long story.
Buffy, are you feeling well?
What?
No.
I'm fine, you know?
Maybe I'm just being too suspicious at this point.
Turn up the music! Get it together, Buffy. We have a game in less than 4 hours.
Ouch.
Hello! Xander! My buzzer here. I love my buzzer!
See, because the...
Hi! Oh.
Is it me or is Buffy
Straight back into formation.
Yeah, no, because my brain is going. Normal humans seem to be affected in a very like become kind of zombie-ish before things go wrong.
hurt someone?
So it might have the opposite effect on her because she's not a normal human.
You are so
Did you see how far she threw the head cheerleader there?
I just got kicked off the team, didn't I?
I don't think it was your fault.
I know you don't, because you're my friend. You're my Xander-shaped friend. Do you have any
Oh
idea
goodness,
why
just
I love
confirming
you
that
so
he
very
is
much?
indeed just a
You're
Xander-shaped friend to her.
Tell you. You're not like other boys at all.
Well,
You are totally and completely one of the girls. I'm not comfy with him.
That's what you get, Xander.
a vengeance spell like she's trying to get even with Buffy?
Because she knows I know she's a witch.
Yeah.
Running with you, she intends to,
Kill.
Who are you? Oh, is there something wrong?
Mrs. Madden, we need to talk to you about your daughter.
I'm not allowed. You'll have to come back later.
Oh, I think you know only too well.
You've got to go. She's going to be home soon, and you...
This girl is very
She is
sick.
so afraid.
You will listen to me. Somehow your obsession with cheerleading
I
has
don't
made...
care about cheerleading. It's not my fault she's doing stuff.
What's she putting together?
She's out of her mind. Ever since her dad left, I can't control her.
Yeah, no, that slip up is interesting.
Are you Amy? She wanted to relive her glory days.
Oh.
She said I was wasting my youth. So she took it.
Where's Buffy? Where's Buffy?
Downstairs.
Need to find her books.
This is horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, the music.
Collect those dolls and any other person.
How is she?
I'm on Giles.
We only have a few minutes left.
Oh. Hell. No. My brain just realized something.
What?
If they switch everyone back, then Giles is gonna be stuck with the actual witch in company while he tries to fix Buffy.
Yep. And right during the cheer as well.
This is not great.
Oh, about to tumble, are we?
Oh!
Ouch!
Amy, what's your problem?
Okay, well, at least
The way the
I
actress who
can't-
plays Amy does this look is so good.
I like that really felt as if she was...
She's coming.
Yeah, as if she was on an airplane, like, struggling to keep her balance.
Well, wait. I need to talk to you. I can help you. Help me. With what? Well, you know, all your witchcraft.
This is not great.
Xander!
That was not the best punch, but okay.
Release!
Come.
Buffy? Amy?
He is strong.
Yeah. Wow, now she basically has to face her worst fear, which is her own mom.
Please.
Oh!
Oh!
Never mind.
Guess what?
Here.
Body was mine. Mine! Oh, grow up.
Sorry, that scene always gets to me.
I shall look upon her, and the dark place will have her soul. Caution.
This is very frustrating because we have no idea what the limits.
Oh.
That was so good. That was so good. Okay, sorry.
So, I may have got it wrong.
You saved my life.
I think you did a really good job.
Yeah.
I got her! Cut her head off!
Xander, what are you doing?
I was my mom.
Oh.
Where is she?
Hey, Willow, it's cool.
Willow with the bat.
I took care of it.
No, you did not.
Do you ever wish you could be 16 again?
Oh, that's a frightful notion.
Uh-uh.
Feel that again.
Hmm.
Not even if it helped me understand you. Hey, I'm really sorry you guys got bumped back to alternate. Hold it. Wait. No, I'm not.
Well, I know that I'll miss the intellectual thrill of spelling out words with my arms.
Ah!
These grapes are full.
And there's been no sign of her?
That last spell, she said I'd never make trouble again. Whoever she is, I don't think we'll have to worry.
You hope.
I'm thinking of getting fat.
You know, I hear that looks in for spring.
Oh, okay. That's a good place for her to be. For her to reflect
dark
for
is that
all
moment?
eternity. Yes. Oh goodness.
Like, what I think I enjoyed was that we've gone out of the realm of vampires so early on,
Yeah.
and it shows you that anything supernatural technically could possibly come in this show. Because if we've got witches, you just have to wonder where else are you going to go. What did you think of the
Yeah.
episode?
I think that might be my favorite one so far.
Mm-hmm.
I got really excited there with the payoff that we got about the mirror that didn't even look like it was a setup for anything, and it was just like that was just so satisfying. But yeah, so that's why I kind of screamed into the mic for a second there. I'm really sorry.
It is absolutely fine. To have that sort of reaction means that I hope that you are enjoying it because you became invested in the payoff, as you said. So it's always nice to see that moment, because I do think, for me, this episode has so many good things about it. And for me, it's one of, out of the three, it's the strongest episode so far. And I think it's a nice detractor from what we got. And there was also, did you notice all the pop culture references? There were so many. It was quite nice to hear them again.
I mean, I didn't notice probably as many as you would, but like I did notice some of the obvious ones, like the Mommy Dearest reference and to me, what seemed like the Shining reference. But yeah, I think those were the only two that I really clocked, and sorts of the Shakespeare reference, which hinted. I mean, I didn't realize at the time, but looking back, seems to hint at the title. So
that's very true. Yeah, because when you said double double toil and trouble, I was like, exactly, the reference to the witch, and then the cauldron, and then obviously the three, because she takes she takes three out before she gets to Buffy. But also there was reference to when her mum when Buffy says her mom has Fawcett hair, Farrah Fawcett was in the original Charlie's Angels TV show. And she was a huge star in the
Oh,
70s, and she had a specific hairstyle that if you
oh,
can Google
okay.
and look up. And then Gidget was another show that I think had Sally Fields, who was the mum in
Mm.
Mrs. Doubtfire. And I think that was a reference to
Oh,
her when she
oh
said Gidget hair, because that
yes.
was another TV show. So those were
Mm.
nice references. And then another one was the Sabrina the Teenage Witch reference.
Yeah, I mean that one was an obvious one. Um, but yeah, I forgot about that
And
one.
there's a nice little bit of trivia about that. The one who played Catherine the mum plays
Mm.
Sabrina's aunt in an episode of Sabrina
Yes,
the Teenage Witch.
she does. She does.
Yeah, there's nice little references. Also, I think Charisma Carpenter, who plays Cordelia, was an
Mm.
actual cheerleader, like an LA Laker cheerleader or something like that.
Oh,
So when she makes the reference, it's kind of really meta if you when you know about it, because of course, if she was a cheerleader and then she's making reference to someone else, that was a really nice, by the way, I thought, opening segment with the cheerleading, because obviously we got to see
mm,
tryouts, which, as we both spoke about, we don't have that. There were cheerleaders at my university
mm,
in Bristol, but it's a rare thing. I've never ever heard of a school, an actual what we call secondary school in the
mm,
UK having cheerleaders. I've never heard of it. So it was very rare, but it was
yeah,
nice to see tryouts, because obviously if you watch American shows, you see it all the time. I grew up watching 90s programs, so it's always there. There was always a cheerleading
yeah,
tryout
no,
in an episode of a show. And then the fact that she was on fire, that she was doing so well, and it was like, oh, by the way, we're now gonna show just the little tip of the iceberg of what this witch's powers are.
mm. Yeah, and it's interesting as well because it begs the question of like how you would deal with a witch, because obviously we've now seen how they dealt with a witch, but something that was very noticeable was the fact that Buffy had to rely on her mind to deal with the witch because her strength
Mm,
wasn't doing it, because the witch could put her basically out of reach, um, and
yeah.
still affect her while Buffy could not affect back. So it was, yeah, that's extra why I really enjoyed the mirror moment. Um, but yeah.
That honestly, that sequence, the reason it makes me laugh is the way Buffy tells her to grow up, and then it's the way she gets flung against the wall. It always made me laugh. It's one of my favorite moments in that episode, just because
Mm,
Buffy is the child, is the kid, she's the teenager, and she's telling this full-grown woman to grow up because she's trying to live back her dreams, and she's but essentially having I don't know how to word this, like a strop. The
yeah,
mother is
she's
like a
throwing a
child
tantrum.
when a tantrum, that's the word. She's throwing a tantrum like a child would, because she is so desperate to relive her glory days. Oh, another little fact for you: the one actress who
Mm.
plays Amy auditioned for the role of Buffy.
It's interesting because they kind of have a similar vibe to me. Obviously,
Yeah,
not in terms of the characters, but in terms of just the aura that they have. It feels very similar. So,
I wonder if that was actually intentional when they were doing this moment,
mm,
because she had auditioned for Buffy. I wonder if they were trying to show that element that, you know, oh, you look at this actress and the way the character holds themselves, you could even see Buffy in them, or no man.
mm,
But something that I found really good from the actress was this element of always turning up. But did you notice she never overexpressed herself? She was very rigid. She would stand a certain way. She would just
mm,
stare. She would never really react to things in moments.
mm,
Instead, it was her tone or the way she would hold her body. And I just found that so fascinating watching back, because it was like
mm,
she never gave anything away. She never really reacted to anything going on. There's only a few moments where we ever saw a bit of a reaction, and they were still minimal. Is when she was
mm.
angry, that act, just the way she would look at someone and her tone of voice was changing. I thought that was very good on her on characterization.
Yeah, yeah, because like a lot of the times with these kinds of characters, they'll give you a hint ahead of time that she's not as sweet as she seems. Whereas up until her arriving at her home and talking to her mother slash daughter, um, was there was a lot of plausible deniability that she was still exactly who we thought she was.
Yeah. I've also something that I really enjoyed, and I keep saying this to you, and I will keep saying it, that theories I love, which was you trying to guess like these moments and like, oh well, this makes sense, but this doesn't make sense. Now this look or this phrase or the I like that because you were figuring things out along the way, which is you were starting to picture, well, certain sayings, phrases, the way they would look, the way they would act. And I personally enjoyed that because you're going through moments of going, is Amy the witch? Or is Cordelia the witch? Is it her mom? Is it someone
Mm,
else? And there are little clues if you think back. So when you hear the witch, which now we know was Catherine,
mm,
it was Amy's voice. Obviously, if you listen carefully, you can hear it's Amy's voice speaking in that moment, which
mm,
again is supposed to make you go, it's Amy. Because, and then all of a sudden they throw in this massive curveball that, wait, it's actually her mum in
mm,
her body. And something else that I never realized the first time, or maybe it was something that I never clung on to in the moments of thinking about the show, was
mm,
doesn't she say that she woke up in her mum's body months ago, a few months ago? That she gave a period of
mm,
time, which means you are trapped in someone else's body, if it is months, for months. That is
mm.
terrifying. Because do you remember Amy, she said lost a lot of weight. Willow said it right at the beginning so
Yeah.
that lets you know. Then she went on this strict diet, the broth diet, apparently,
Mm,
as Amy, while Amy was watching her body get starved, and also she couldn't do anything because she was in someone else's body.
yeah.
And that to me is terrifying. Absolutely, when I think about it now, absolutely terrifying that for months, she was stuck in that house in someone else's body, and she probably thought she would die in that body.
Yeah. And like you hear it also in the dialogue that she said, like, oh, so she took it from me, meaning that she had come to terms with the idea that she was never gonna have a youth again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so I really liked the bit where she said, I was thinking about getting fat, because it felt very much like she was she was finally back in control of herself and of her
Self.
body, and making that decision for herself. So it felt very empowering, even though it was a very small moment.
Yeah, because she now had control and ownership back of her own body. So of
Mm,
course, like make a reference to something that had been implied earlier on. I also like the whole idea about the loss of youth. That now that I think
yeah.
about it, there was a lot of talk about people's youth and the loss of it. Like Catherine couldn't get over the fact that she probably peaked in high school by
Mm,
the sounds of it. So
yeah.
she took her daughter's youth. And then, as you said, the comment of, so she took it. And then we had the moment of between Joyce and Buffy talking about when Joyce was younger and how her hair looked
Mm,
and what kind of club she was in. So it was really nice that we got this whole reference of people's.
um oh yeah, so what you mentioned with her kind of peaking in high school and wanting to relive the glory days, it's so interesting because I think that's not something that most adults would want. um it's like, yeah, you might miss certain aspects of the freedom that you maybe had when you were younger or something like that, but I don't think the average adult wants to relive 16. 16 was a lot of confusion for the average person.
Yeah, right.
um so it is interesting to think, because then it just makes Buffy's sentence of grow up so much more applicable, because clearly she's still
Mm,
mentally stuck at an age where she's selfish and not worrying about things that adults would worry about. And it's fine to be
yeah,
selfish at 16 because you're 16, but as an adult
but no,
with a kid.
yeah. Also, something that you're pointing out, which is really nice about this, is we then got the moment between Buffy and her mum when she goes, "Would you want to be 16 again?" And she goes,
Exactly.
"Oh no," which goes into when you're talking about that. I wholeheartedly agree with Joyce. I would never want to be a 16-year-old again, ever. Um, and I like that they had that moment because obviously Catherine just can't get over that the life she thought she might have never
Mm,
planned out, but we don't actually know like, what her actual lofty goals were, if that makes sense. Instead, we just
mm,
know that she ended up grown to hate her now ex-husband and her child for what she perceives as taken away, I guess, what she would consider the best years of her life.
Yeah. Because I mean,
Which
what
is
ifs have
scary.
such, yeah, and what ifs have such like unlimited potential. If you start with what if, you can imagine this entire life for yourself that you maybe wouldn't even have gotten, even if you hadn't had a daughter. Um, but
True, very true.
it's like that's also something that I just appreciated, is them bringing back Buffy kind of like realizing and appreciating her mom now that she's seen what a toxic dynamic she could have potentially had with her mom. Like, no one is
Yeah,
guaranteed a
definitely.
happy family life. So
Definitely.
that was nice as well.
So I'm curious. It's just a random thought out there. When do you think Catherine started practicing magic? Do you think it was a possibility that it came to her because she became bitter about the life leaving her, the life she wanted as she got older? Do you think it was after she had Amy? Do you think she was practicing before? And also, do you think she was nice when she was a teenager as a cheerleader? Because obviously the stereotype is cheerleaders aren't nice. We got that through literally the head cheerleader and Cordelia. Or do you think
Hmm.
she was quite mean then? I was so curious about that because I wouldn't say cheerleaders were
Hmm.
portrayed in the best light in this episode.
I feel like there was definitely a little bit of a stereotype in this time of media that
Yeah.
cheerleaders weren't the nicest. Um, but I don't know. I would say potentially she was always this way to an extent, but maybe it was more hidden because she was happier with her life. So maybe she
Yeah.
wouldn't have felt the need to be as um bad as she turned into. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I feel like if she had um not had that kind of notion in her already, then she maybe wouldn't have gone to this extent.
Yeah. I
Because
see
the
what you mean.
average person doesn't go, "Oh, I hate my child. Let me see if I can become them."
Yeah.
You know.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna take over your body and your life and everything you're going to do. I'm taking your youth. I'm taking it away from you. Most parents don't do that.
Mm-mm.
When Amy as or Catherine as Amy is talking about how she got them, like she achieved this and state championship and all this, and then she kind of it dips and she goes, and then she married the high school sweetheart. They were prom king and queen, I think she said. And then
Mm.
it kind of descends into, oh, and he ran away with the trailer trash. She's just like, if you think about it, never
Yeah.
once did Catherine ever hold herself accountable. And if you notice, like when you go back,
Mm.
everything she spoke about was poor me, I never did anything wrong. Everyone else was at fault. And that was such an interesting thing to watch because you're not going to pick up on it. It has to take, obviously,
Mm.
watching the episode and then rewatching it to pick up on the manner in which Amy or Catherine as Amy
Yeah.
speaks about everything, because I noticed Catherine never took any responsibility for anything that happened. It was always
And
everyone else's fault.
yeah, and it's interesting because I kind of picked up on it, but I couldn't voice it because I didn't have like
Yeah.
succinct enough wording for it. But I thought before we knew anything, or before I knew anything, I thought, oh, she seemed to have kind of been like brainwashed by her mom. You know, when like one parent
Yeah,
turns a
yeah.
kid against another
I know
parent,
exactly what you mean, because that's
it,
I think what I felt when I first watched it.
yeah, it very much felt like that. And then I thought, maybe that's a bit of a harsh assessment, because
Nope.
obviously you would like with the way that stories are told, you would quickly
Mm,
work in as much backstory as you can. So I thought maybe I'm
definitely.
just like misinterpreting. But now that we know that, oh, it was her all along, it makes sense why she would have such harsh assessments of the people who
Yeah,
wronged her.
wronged
I
her.
mean, to be fair, he probably kind of did if he did cheat, but yeah.
But we actually don't. The thing is, by the sounds of it, obviously, I'm not saying I'm correct in this, but Amy as Catherine says, the dad used to call her a witch and say things, and then one day he left. So clearly there was something else going on where either she was doing these spells and she was becoming more progressively darker and eviler and maybe vindictive. And it sounds like there was love there at first, but her own bitterness stripped away their happiness. Because it sounds like the dad, there was no real negativity about the dad. I know obviously she referenced him running away, but we don't know if that's like maybe he ran with this person because of what she was like. It's hard with that moment because we don't know anything about the dad apart from his absolute concern for Amy, which makes me go, when was the last time he saw her? Was it only when they switched bodies, or did she have a regular relationship with her dad before? I hope so.
I mean, there's a lot of potential because I mean that also does kind of give you a time frame for more or less when she would have bare minimum started practicing witchcraft is probably when Amy was really young at the very least. But also we don't know because he only got in contact with Amy again after the spells were broken. So it's also potential that she cast a spell to keep him away from them.
That is very possibly true, because there is so it's about the spells, because that's a good point, which was I really liked how they progressively got darker and more sinister as it went along. So took the hands away, took the eyes away, took the mouth away. Like it feels like hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, that element of it. And it was just as they got progressively worse, because the five with the hands were taken out quite quickly. But then Cordelia's eyesight was gone, which is like, that's something else taken from someone, something they need in cheerleading. So, and then the mouth, because obviously you need to chant, you need to do that. That was freaky. And then she went to Buffy and she was like, oh no, you're just going to die.
Yeah, which also tells you the kind of person that she is and like explains why she would go, witchcraft. It sounds ridiculous, but if it's the same kind of leaps in logic that you would say, oh, I'm just going to slightly make her scared or damage her in a way that's recoverable. Oh no, I'm going to do eyesight because, and then mouth and death. It makes sense.
Mouth and death. Do you know something is very interesting? Because you brought up about maybe she had a spell on the dad. Now, obviously, it was unspecified delivery truck. They never actually had any, if you noticed, any like famous delivery name. I wonder if, because that either Cordelia so hated that even the delivery man wants to speed up and hit her, or that was part of the spell where Catherine was must have been watching it go on and made the male van speed up, because we never actually saw inside of it, if you notice. Obviously I know that's but probably to do with budgetary means, because obviously this is season 1, it had a small budget compared to like the future, which I know makes sense because obviously you can tell that. But I was so curious about that because I never thought about it the first time I watched it. I just thought, oh wow, this man or woman who delivers must really hate Cordelia, which goes in line with her personality. But then you think, was it part of the spell where it was intentional to speed up to kill her? Because if you think about it, the only two that really could have been killed was Cordelia and Buffy. She actually could have killed Cordelia if that truck had hit her at the speed, because it wasn't slowing down. It never once slowed down. And I was like, and we never saw someone inside, but I was like, that whole moment where it just sped up, I was like, in a jokey way, people just hate Cordelia. They just want to kill her. Then it's like the actual spell, the magic behind it is so strong and so dangerous. It's such a good episode to think back on.
Yeah, I mean, there's I've realized I tend to autofill potential plot holes with theories. So my mind immediately went. It could be, as you said, a spell that it was kind of making sure that she would be put in danger. It could be that it was kind of like a everything bad has to happen to her. So maybe there was no one in the car, and it was someone left the brake off, and it was just going.
Yeah, I don't think
Or
so.
this one is kind of just like, I would want it as a headcanon, but it seems ridiculous, is if that was Amy's father also under control of Amy's mother.
I mean, I never thought of the father in that moment. I like how you're like, let me just think of as many possible theories, because obviously, as you said, there isn't a real definitive answer, as you saw. Like, there was no like arrest, there was no speak about it to say, oh, no one was in the van, or blah blah. It was just one of those moments. It was like, okay, we have to make sure that Cordelia once again is in danger and is being saved by Buffy. Because so far, Cordelia has been the one that's been the quote-unquote damsel in distress.
I was about to say, I love the fact that she has become the damsel in distress for Buffy.
Yeah. Especially because she's supposed to hate Buffy, and it's like, but I have to keep saving you.
Yeah.
And something that I really appreciated from Buffy, which was Xander's first thought was that once Giles said behead the witch, she was like, we can't do that. It's clear to me that because this person's human, Buffy does not want to kill, which I think makes sense, because if you start killing, then where does that lead to? And I like that with Buffy. There's clearly her going, we can't do that. Whereas Xander's thinking with his heart more than his head, emotions more.
But it's also a very good distinction, because I feel like Buffy is kind of the creators, and Xander is the audience, in the sense where, because we're okay to kill the vampires, he's like, okay, but then we can just kill every other mythical creature or whatever, and it's fine, right? And Buffy's like, no. There's still, like, there's differences and there's subtlety, and Buffy is seeing it very clearly, whereas Xander, being first exposed to this world, isn't seeing those subtleties yet.
Maybe it's also because Buffy has said that she's been it's been what, a year now she's been a Slayer at this point. So she's understanding, I think, the rules that come with being a Slayer, and because she has so much on her shoulders, but I think she's understanding as it goes on, because obviously it's only been a year, she's still learning things, but she's understanding what she believes, I guess, to her is right and wrong. Whereas, as you said, Xander is the audience. So Xander doesn't have that. Xander is, I'm exposed to this for the first time ever. You're in danger. We need to protect you. We can't lose you.
And also, we've seen time and again that Buffy has really good instincts. So it might also just be that she's kind of instinctively feeling where the correct footholds for this job is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like this episode. This was a really fun episode.
I have to say, another personal favorite part of mine, was two parts, which was Xander saying Willow's like one of the guys, and then as the episode went on, Buffy saying Xander's one of the girls. I thought that was such a nice moment to be like, you deserve that, Xander, because you dismissed Willow and said she's one of the guys. Because we as the audience know she likes him, we have a different feeling to that. Obviously, Xander just says it off the cuff, but then to have Buffy say you're like one of the girls and friend zone him was such a great moment, because it was kind of like, you deserve that, Xander. Even if you didn't mean to do what you did to Willow, you did deserve that, because you kind of put her in a box. Now you've been put in the box.
Yeah, no, and it feels like I would label that as kind of a progressive moment. Not to say that the rest of the show isn't progressive necessarily, but it feels like it's very good, because it showed self-awareness on the writers' part, that I think will carry the rest of the show very well for years to come. So that's good. Yeah, I know there was a lot in this episode that really stood out. I feel like I could talk about it for another hour, but I won't.
Well, I'm very glad that you enjoyed this episode, because I will say, someone I know, this was the episode that got them into Buffy. They enjoyed the
Uh,
first two episodes, but this episode was what really got them because like it was so good because obviously it wasn't about vampires, which meant you go, oh, the title is just the title, if that makes sense. You know, she's not
mm,
just a vampire slayer. Like, there's obviously other things, which for me broadens
yeah.
your ideas and theories of what the show can be. And I just think it's such a good episode. I just think, to me, I don't think there's anything wrong with this episode at all. This is an episode I would and will go back and rewatch again and again because I just think it's so enjoyable.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like this is a show that perfectly balances like the creepy factor with the enjoyability binge factor
Yeah.
because I was really worried there. I think it was right when we were introduced to kind of that like the lab lair
Mm.
bit that it would go a little bit into my discomfort zone and it just kind of like skirted the edge really well. So
You mean the horror element? Because I know
yeah,
you're not a big horror fan.
yeah. So I was very scared that we would kind of tread into the bit where I would start to be very uncomfortable. Um, but I think they did really well with managing that.
Like the cat.
No, not so much the cat. The cat was fine. Like jump scares in that realm is fine. It was more the build up before that.
The
The
intensity of what,
music,
yeah.
the shadows, the hanging puppets that could be hanging corpses. You know, my mind can go very wild if given the right imagery. So yeah.
I think that's also intentional though. Like, it's not just your imagination. Me personally, I also felt like that. I also went to Texas Chainsaw Massacre for some reason this time around when I saw that. I was like, this is just
Oh.
really, really freaky, and it's so well done. And as you said, the music intensified. And you're like me; you're someone who picks up on the score or the music when it changes and shifts because you know something's about to happen. You're like,
Mm,
okay, why did this change? And I like that because as you said, for you, it's treading that line. And they're doing a good job, which I think is great. And sometimes it's good to come out of your comfort zone because then it makes you, appreciate forms of media. But you also have to know your comfort zone and know that, you don't want it to go too far
mm.
to make
My
you feel a
my
certain way.
yeah, my concern would just be like with these kinds of shows, they tend to have um episodes that go um more uncomfortable than the average episode from the show. And if the first episode like that is at episode 3, I always feel like, okay, this might not be a show for me because if they introduce an episode like that so early on, the likelihood of it being an often occurrence is high. Um,
Mhm.
so which is where I'm like, okay, I start to get worried. So the fact that it didn't go there yet, I'm very happy about.
I'm glad because it was fun watching you enjoy this episode, especially in moments where you would cheer or you would smile or just that kind of reaction is what you want when you want someone to watch a show. It shows that
Mm,
you are invested in the episode, which we've spoken about before, which is such an important thing, is to really be invested and even kind of talk to the characters or talk back to the characters and laugh in moments
mm.
and stuff like that. So it was just really nice to see because we went from, I think, two very good opening episodes to what I consider a pretty strong episode 3.
Yeah, no, that I would say that was a strong episode 3.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for listening to our discussion and watching episode 3 with us. We will be back with episode 4 soon.